So welcome back, guys. Today I'm just going to chat to Adam from Pillars for Pilgrims and just find out a little bit more information about the actual charity and also what it entails and how we can actually donate. So Adam, can you just tell us a little bit about your service history?
Yeah, no worries, and thanks for having me on. So I joined the military at the age of 17, a bit of reserve service, then the Ready Reserve, then transferred to the Navy for about 4 years, back to the Army, a bit of time in the battalion, then did selection for SAS in 2002 and spent just shy of 20 years there. Okay. So about 30 years all up service.
Yep. So what caused you to start this charity?
Yeah, so I was medically discharged in 2021, and through my medical discharge process, and once I got out, the transition from 30 years of service and joining the age of 17, when you're institutionalised and then trying to reintegrate back into society, become very difficult. So everyday things that most civilians take for granted, it's hard for a serviceman to reintegrate to. And especially coming from a high-end sort of a combat unit like the SAS or an infantry battalion or clearance diving and things like that, where we're out focused. It's like a train's travelling down a train track, and you step off that train and the train keeps going, and then you're stuck there by yourself at an empty train station. So you feel very isolated. So I reached out to a few charities and stuff, and then I sort of started to understand that there is a lot of ex-service organisation charities out there, but not a lot do what they say they do.
Okay.
And so it's hard for veterans to find that support. And so I had a friend of mine who I served with, and he was called Once a Pilgrim, and he was sort of doing stuff by himself. He was selling hats and stickers and stuff and raising money, and sent some blokes over to Kokoda. Helped a couple of guys that had cancer and stuff, and so we sort of met up with him, and then we formalised and became Pillars for Pilgrims, which is a registered charity, tax deductible, and we're a registered business, so everything's above board. So if anyone makes a donation, it's tax deductible and stuff. And basically our programs, it's about rehabilitate, reintegrate and reconnect, and with a bit of rehab in there. So we basically, we're West Australian based. We look after all SAS veterans, Special Operations Forces from the International Coalition who reside in WA, and at this stage all Western Australian veterans as well, so Army, Navy, Air Force, Reserve, whatever they are. And basically what we try to do, or what we do is we provide that unconventional solution for the complex problem, which is how do we reintegrate? How do we get blokes back and girls back off the couch and out into society, and to understand that even though we have served, that's not what defines us. What defines us is our individuality.
Yep.
So we have various programs, from things like we send people over to Kokoda. We've got some programs to send people overseas to Switzerland or Italy or Greece. And some of those are soft touch points to get veterans or veterans' families or families of the fallen out with members of society or different cultures to experience different things.
Okay.
And then to have that shared sense of purpose again.
Yeah. So how long's the charity been running for?
So we're 7 months young. So we officially launched in December last year.
Okay.
To date, we've sent one veteran across to Mexico to do some alternate medical treatment with a drug called Ibogaine. We've currently got about 10 veterans who have done a trek from across Australia up into Cape York, and they've married up there and are reconnecting. And we've got 3 guys, 3 veterans that we're sponsoring to do the Cape to Cape mountain block race in Western Australia.
Yep.
And Anzac Day next year, we're sending about 10 veterans across to do Kokoda again.
Okay, so how much ballpark figure is it costing you to support, a trip to Mexico for treatment or to the Kokoda?
Yep. So the Mexico expedition was a figure approximately about $30,000 Australian.
Yep.
And we're lucky we had a sponsor come on board and supported us with that to get that individual across. For the Kokoda stuff, it's about $9,000 a person from Perth. If we send them from Perth, we look at that, and we've raised money, auctions, bunning sausage sizzles, selling merchandise, that sort of thing for that. And then we have a fund, an emergency fund there in case someone's in dire need of some financial assistance for something.
Yep.
We have a little bit of money that we've raised there that we can support people, and that could be to help with some rent or car issues or something that's an emergency, we'll cover the cost of that for them.
Okay, so what's the best way for people to contact you if they want to find out about donations or even if they need some help?
Yep, so the best way, so we've got social media page, we've got Pillars for Pilgrims on Instagram, Pillars for Pilgrims on Facebook. We also have our website, which is pillarsforpilgrims.com.au, and on there's an email to contact us. And so that's the best way to either contact, and on our website we've got a merchandise store, we've got a donate button or things like that. I will say is there's only 3 of us, we're volunteers, and we don't have a crisis line. But if you reach out on any one of those mediums, we'll directly get back to you and see where we can help out.
So what at the moment other charities or government is assisting your charity at all?
Yeah, so government's not. We've gone to have a look at grants, which we don't qualify for. We've reached out to the RSL. They've offered no support. There's a couple of other charities that we align with, which is Wandering Warriors out of Queensland, which provide educational assistance to veterans. Young Veterans, which is over on the East Coast as well, and he provides some really good support. Because one of our biggest things is we never want to replicate what someone's doing really well. We'll collaborate. But if we find that there's a charity that says they do something and they can't, well then that's when we'll fill that gap. So we never want to replicate what someone's doing really well. So
what's been your biggest success story so far with the charity? Or your highlight, something that you've done that's...
Yeah, so well, I've got a couple. So our first one is the guy we sent to Mexico. So this individual, and he's going to share his story, so I won't mention names or anything, but this guy here, you know, approximately about 30 years of service, broken both medically and physically. He spent about $120,000 of his own money trying to find remedies to help himself, and couldn't do it, and approached us and said, hey, he's researched this thing to go and try it. Now, I spoke to him 2 days ago on the phone, and he said he's never felt better, both mentally and physically.
Well, that's good.
In 20 years, he said it's just, he's a different person. So to me, if that's just one person that we could help, we're already winning. We've done another thing where we've released a commemorative rum in collaboration with a rum company to honour some of the fallen guys from Afghanistan, and to deal with the families, because we wanted the families to endorse what we're doing, so we weren't just using their names. Was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, because just the widows or the mums, just they couldn't believe that we wanted to help them to remember their son's thing. So that was awesome. It just, because we're giving back. We want to, we're a community, and that's one of our things. We don't want to be a charity. We want to be a community. So we want to bring everyone back in. So it's a safe environment for everyone to reconnect.
And what was the other one? You said you had a couple that were success stories.
So the guys currently on their trip up to Cape York. So some of these guys hadn't seen each other for over 15 years. And so they've driven up, and their own little journeys. So 3 guys went from Western Australia, I think there was 4 from Queensland and a couple from New South Wales. Each individual journey in itself has got those guys to reconnect, get out in the bush, they're fishing, hunting, a few beers around a campfire, but just what that's benefited them, and they've got back to me and said they're going to do it every year, and they're going to try and make it bigger and better to get more people to come along, because they've just seen the benefit that's given. So we were super stoked to be able to support that.
That's excellent. So I'm just going to thank you for your service, Adam. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Dave.
What's your friend name of your mate that's part of it?
So the other guy part of it's Andrew White. So he's Once a Pilgrim on Instagram, and then I've got my sister as well. She's the 3rd director, and we wanted to bring someone else on board who wasn't a veteran but could also understand. Obviously, she's my sister, and she's been involved on the peripheral of seeing a veteran and stuff that we go through, and she's also got a background in she's run her own charity, and she's got a business background. So to bring that expertise in, just to make sure, because we want to be transparent and open in everything we do. So we're not one of these, that we're paying ourselves or anything. 100% of the funds that we raise go back to the veteran and their families.
Are you going to try to expand it Australia-wide, or are you just going to still try to keep it SF and WA?
Aspirationally, we'd love to go Australia-wide, but we're just cognizant that there's only 3 of us, and we want to, with some of our programs are pilot programs too, we want to make sure that what we are providing is hitting the mark. So we're not, going off sideways and not trying to raise money and then we're putting it somewhere and it's not, and the veterans and the families aren't benefiting.
Yeah.
So aspirational, we'd love to, and we'd also actually love to expand it to first responders as well.
Yep.
So because they cop a bit of a hard time, I think, with some of the stuff that they do and see, and I think we're very similar. Military and first responders are very similar. So we would love to expand and grow into that, but we've just got to be careful that we can deliver what we promise.
Yep.
We don't want to over-promise and under-deliver.
So what ideally, over a year, what would you like to raise monetary-wise to keep? You've been able to send people obviously overseas, Kokoda and all these other programs. What would be a good ballpark figure for you guys?
So we are looking, about $500,000 to $1 million a year. Now that sounds like a lot, but once we go to corporation, which we're in the process of doing now, I think it's quite achievable.
Okay.
So, for example, we've got a Swiss project, which is to send between 4 to 5 veterans to Switzerland each year to give some cultural immersion up in the Swiss Alps, to do some nighttime photography, some astronomy, some perhaps some cooking, a little bit of hiking, but to take those veterans to put them over. Now, one thing I'll say with our programs is we try to have a mix of a small number of veterans with a large number of civilians.
Yep.
So then they are integrating. And I know for me personally, I did Kokoda and I was the only veteran, there was 2 veterans on it. Yep. So it forced me to be uncomfortable by having to talk with people that I wasn't familiar with. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Because if it was just all veterans would sit around and talk about the good old days, but we want to start to learn and reintegrate. So that's why our Swiss program's good. And we've actually already got a donor who's already supported us, and he's sponsoring a position for a veteran to go and do that, or a family member. So we're only another 4 positions away, and we'll have that project up and running. So,
yep. So, how do you select who's going to go on what?
So the way we do it is, because we're trying to create a community, it's based off a referral system.
Okay.
So because we're actually a fairly small community, now in that we've got a supporter of ours who's backing us up is a company called Critical Components. They're based out of Perth. They're a psychological company.
Okay, yep.
So there's a couple of psychs and that in there, and they currently have about 700 veterans on their books. So it could be as simple as giving them a call and going, hey, we've got this project, we've got X amount of positions. Do you have anyone you think would benefit from this activity? And it's the same with our contacts, like for example, now we know each other. Yep. I could ring you up and go, hey Dave, I've got this project and we've got these positions to fill. Do you know anyone that would fit this? And the reason why we do that is because you don't have to be broken. Yep. Or have a medical condition or anything to do with it. It's anyone who served, and you could be high flying and succeeding in life, but we still think everyone should benefit from this. Yep. And that's not just you either. We might go, hey Dave, you and Amanda, we'd like you two to go on this program over to Switzerland, and it's husband and wife, because the wives give just as much as what the the bloke who served or the lady that serves does, or the children. So that's why we're really big on the families. So we'll always try and have the right people to go to the right activity. Like the guys that are headed north up to Cape, it's good for the blokes to go, or the crew, the veterans to go as a group. Whereas our overseas ones, we actually think it should be a family. So if we send 4 to 5 vets, it should be like husband and wife, or father, daughter, or mother, son, or something like that. So that's sort of how we refer it. We are looking at going down the path later on of potentially expressions of interest. Someone could submit an expression of interest. Yep. But what I've seen, and I've done the Invictus Games, you don't get the true snapshot of the person through a bit of written paperwork. Yep. I think friend refer or something like that works better. And a classic example of that is through Instagram. We had a follower who's a civilian, and he follows us, and he reached out to us just recently and said he's got a mate who was a veteran living in WA. He's gone through a bit of a hard time. I think he's had a marriage breakup. Yep. And he moved overseas, he's come back, and he's been struggling to find a bit of work. So this guy said, look, I can line him up with work, but he needs a riggers ticket. So we're like, absolutely. So we reached out to him and we got him enrolled, and we've funded him to go and get a riggers ticket. Now he's got work. Yep. So that was a referral through a guy who said this guy can have some help. And that's how we sort of want to do it, because it's mates looking after mates, community looking after community, and it's not just saying, hey, Adam's going to send all his mates on these awesome trips.
I understand that. Yep.
It's about finding, and then we want to match the right people. We don't want to. And we've got duty of care to our people. So if someone has a lot of mental health issues and needs support, we don't want to send them all the way to Switzerland. We want to keep them, get some programs close to Australia where they've got that support. Yep. So But we are engaging with some professionals that potentially can sit on a board for us to do expression of interest selection if we go down that path. But I think at the moment we've got so many people that we know we need to support that we don't need to do that process yet.
If someone comes in to see you guys or ends up on a program and has a total meltdown, what's the process there? Do you have did you recommend them to go see another charity like BVCS or RSL or something like that? How does that work?
So if we've got someone that comes to see us, and this is where I'll go back to that collaborate or replicate, and we can't provide that service, one, either we're not equipped, as in if it was, say, a mental health issue, we're not mental health trained or anything, we'll then refer them to someone who we believe provides a very good service.
Okay, yep.
So, or if, for example, I had a friend reach out and he set up some education assistance schemes over in Queensland, some universities, and he wants to bring that out to Perth. And I said, look, we're not the charity to do that, but if you go and speak to Wandering Warriors who work in the education space, they're the better people to go and see because they're already doing it. So there's no point us doing it, and they actually do it really well. Okay. So we've sent them back to them. Now, with our trips overseas, we have some steps in to make sure we've got duty of care for people.
Yep.
So people have to have a medical clearance to go. So, and when we say medical, that can be either psychological or physical.
Yep.
So they'd have to go and see their doctor or their healthcare professional to come back to say, yeah, we're suitable for this. And then through the critical components, we'll have them risk managed as well, and they'll be on call. And if we deemed it necessary, we'd actually send medical support on an activity to ensure it's there for the veteran. But we'd try and capture that before the event went. So we wouldn't, as we said, if someone was really suffering mentally, we wouldn't send them so far away from support that it would put them in danger. We'd make sure we check that through our risk management process.
Yep. So if someone sends you an email or gets in contact, how long usually before you will respond?
I check every day.
Okay.
Yeah, even when I travel, I've got my Starlink, or at the moment my sister's back in Perth.
Yep.
So she'll be capturing a lot of that. But I'm always, it will be within, I wouldn't even say 24 hours.
Okay. Hello, George. How are you? So tell us a little bit about George, Adam, why you got him and what he actually provides to you.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'd love to share about George. George is my service dog. So we're a handler team from the Integra Service Dogs Australia. And he's been provided me for mental health issues that I sustained throughout my service and defence. And I've had him since a pup, and he's 3 now, so 3 years old. Took about 2 years to have him trained. And as I said, we're a team with Integra. So he basically helps me with my reintegration and socialisation. Helps me get off the couch at home and get out and about, back into society. So things that I found difficult, whether it be crowded places or around a lot of people or just at the shops, I found it really difficult to try and fit into that normal mould. So when I was diagnosed, it was recommended that I look at a service dog to provide assistance to me. And since getting him, he's an absolute lifesaver. He allows me to get out and about. And I think I was saying earlier on, when you're a soldier and you go out into combat, you wear your armour and your helmet. Well, I don't have that anymore. I've got George, so he's my armour and helmet for me. He sort of comes everywhere with me, so he's allowed in all places. He flies on the plane, and he's my right-hand man or left-hand man, and he can detect sort of anxiety issues, anger or a situation where I'm starting to feel completely uncomfortable. George will lead me out of that situation. He'll also, if I'm at, say, at a line at a post office or whatever, he'll put blocks in to keep people separated from me, because when you get a bit crowded, you don't want people up behind you and stuff like that, so he'll provide that as well. And he also just provides that I wouldn't say comfort, but that reassurance that something's there, and if things get a little bit tricky or whatever, he's there to distract me from those things that are, I won't say triggers, but he'll distract me from those things. So I've got to focus on him, and he'll lead me away from that. So
you did mention that there is legislation in place that he can go anywhere.
Yeah, so under the Discrimination Act, which we fall under as a handler team, fully accredited, There's two places basically he can't go, which is an operating theatre and food prep, like into a kitchen, a restaurant. He can't go in there, but everywhere else he's allowed access. As a team, he always has his coat on and his ID. So if you ever see a team out and about, some of the rules, if you see a dog, never approach the dog from behind or the handler because they were actually working. And if you do want to interact with the dog, just ask the handler, if it's okay. And if he says no, he's not being rude or anything. It's probably because he's either feels uncomfortable or the dog's working. And then if you do, I would have a pattern. And I think, like with George, I allow it, but in a controlled environment. And and when you see it, especially younger looking veterans, don't ask them why they've got the dog or whatever, but I think most teams will be happy to discuss the dog because I think every veteran should have one. But so he can go most places. He flies on a plane with me. I've been to restaurants. I've been to movie theatres. He comes everywhere with us. Trains, planes, automobiles.
So where do you think you would be today if you didn't have George?
Well, I wouldn't be out in the caravan, that's for sure, unless I was out in the bush just by myself. So it's hard to say, but I don't think I'd be in a very good place, to put it that way. He allows me to get out and about. He allows me to sort of reintegrate, I guess, and he allows me to talk on a camera. Because it just, as I said, it's that set of armour again to give you that sense of, it's like a comfort blanket.
Tell us a little bit about Integra.
Integra Dogs, so it's founded by an ex-commando, and they've got a team, and they run in Canberra there, and they train dogs and then take them out and integrate them with their handlers.
But they're not just for mental health as well. What other support does the service dogs provide? So
an assistance dog can provide, so even under the DVA Act, you can have a psychiatric dog, which like George's meat for PTSD. You can have a medical dog, so they're like dogs that can smell diabetes and if people are going to faint or stuff like that.
Oh, okay then.
Then you can have seeing eye dogs, like the guide dogs, for the vision impaired. And I think they have a hearing dog as well. I think this is people with difficulty with hearing. So there's different types, but predominantly I think, especially with the Defence Service dogs, they're more for the anxiety, depression, PTSD type.
Can they be cross-trained? Because I know a lot of vets do have obviously PTSD, anxiety, but also a lot do have a lot of hearing loss from service. So can they be a cross-trained?
That's a very good question. I think it depends on the veteran's needs. So I think when they go through the process and apply with your certain requirements, that's when they match. Because there is a little bit of a waiting list, but I believe they match the dog to the veteran's requirements.
Okay then.
Not just next person on the list, here's a dog. Because everyone's different, everyone has a different requirement, so they'll match the dog and its personality and how it can help you.
And you were saying that DVA does provide some support towards the upkeep of service dogs?
So if you've got a DVA provided dog, so you go through the process on DVA, you apply, you're accepted into the program, and then you receive a dog. So they provide the dog to you, all the equipment, the training, and then I think there's an allowance, it's about approximately $600 every quarter for their insurance, food, grooming, things like that to take care of the dog, so you're fully supported.
Okay, thanks for talking about George. Just remember, people, if you're out there and you do see a service dog, they usually do have a stop, please do not pat. And as I said, if you do want to pat the dog, first talk to the handler first. Like I said, they may be working, the dog may actually be fully switched on and assisting the handler itself. And like you said, if they do say no, don't think it's being rude. It's because the handler is working with the dog and the dog's working with the handler, and that's what they're trained to do. But by all means, come up, say hello to them, have a chat to them and stuff like that. And that's probably good, getting some people just to interact as well, just with you. And you never know, someone may say, yes, you can have a pat. Well, thanks for chatting today. Like I said, they're on social media, Facebook, Instagram. They do have the webpage as well. So if you're interested in providing some support, I'm going to put the links down below so you can actually click on that. And I know a lot of you guys out there are veterans that watch me, so if you want to support a really good charitable, Pillars for Pilgrims, get on there and provide some support, and remember, it is always tax deductible. So thank you very much for your time today, Adam.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.